Moving on. Now, let's see how to schedule refreshes and notification. The idea about refresh is when you publish your content from Power BI desktop to Power BI service, which is online, it gets refreshed once. Then, as time progresses, you would have to keep doing this publish feature like this. Let me show it to you on one of my earlier sheets. So every time you want to just move this content online after certain data additions and stuff like that, you would need one person doing this. So let's see where does it take us. Let me open an existing PBIX file which has an option to publish something online. Let's do that. Let's see the entire cycle. It's still loading, still loading, still loading. If the file is heavy, it takes time to load. Let it load. It should open. Till the time it loads, I would like to tell you is this is a manual way of publishing a file online in the Power BI service, and this means the control of the content which is getting displayed and data is prone to human intervention, which might be risky in some cases. In some cases it is fruitful to have an observation on what content is going online. So let's say once the content loads, this is the content what you are seeing it over here. The same procurement analysis should be available in my workspace in my procurement analysis. If I go in over here, I would see this is what it is getting displayed as. What if I change something over here? I want content only from April onwards till December. So what would I ideally be doing here is I would be changing some fields or content, and I would like to have a page level filter. So this is a nitty-gritty of what I am trying to show you. And select all but don't show me Jan, Feb and March. So it shows me April till December, right? For this thing. And I say publish. So what it does is it saves the content locally and puts the file into the server. Where do I want to move that file? I want to publish it in test.env. So if I go back over here and I refresh once this thing is done, right, it would show the content from April onwards rather than this. At the same time, what if I append new pieces of information in this BPIX file? So if there are 100 new invoices which have to be added in this deployment or this publish, in this case, new content visualization as well as the data has been modified, and that means a person needs to be on the job to keep a track of data changes and keep them pushed into the Power BI service manually online. So this is pretty cumbersome doing the same job. So like I said, I've changed the visualization, assuming I have deleted January, February, March data, right? And if I do refresh, it should show me content only from April onwards. See, this is the change. So for every change, be it visualization or be it data, primarily the data, if assuming I had deleted 3 months data and I had to push the data online, in this case, this would have been an output. Now, to do this manually is cumbersome. A better way of doing things would be scheduling a refresh. So what happens is as soon as the data changes, the person need not be worried about the right data getting reflected on screen. How do we do that thing? Let's have a look. So first we go into test env, then we say dataset, then we say three ellipses icon, then we say settings. Now in this we have a gateway connection, right? We have a scheduled refresh. So to scheduling a refresh, You would have to have a gateway configured on big AWS. This gateway once configured, let's say installed here. So I am configuring a gateway on my machine. All right. So I already have another gateway is running on some other machine, which I am not trying to use since I am not on that machine. I am downloading a new gateway. So what is a on-premise gateway? Let me explain it in detail. Gateways are that mechanism which would ensure a data is moved from the database or a file drive or a folder or any kind of data system into the Power BI service. When I say Power BI service, I mean to say app.powerbi.com. So if that connection is enabled, only then you can schedule a refresh. That's a precondition. Please make a note of it. You would need a gateway to automate the data refreshes on Power BI services. Once I have this on-premises gateway, let me install it over here. I'll install this gateway. I'll map it to the Power BI cloud. And once I have it in place, I would get few options. Let's see how this on-premise data gateway is installed. All right. So once I have this running, I would like to update my gateway. It has some minimum requirements. Those are okay. All right. You just need to download and embed it. Let's say update. It's updating the current downloaded existing gateway and it has some error. Let's close this for a second. Let me take you to another dashboard wherein the gateways are enabled and how do you schedule the refresh. So what I mean to say, you'll have to download this exe file, install it in a machine, and with that you would have to pass on your database credentials as well, configure the gateway, which I am anyway going to teach you in the next session. And once you have that gateway configured, let me show you an existing Power BI workspace which has some kind of settings, and I have a gateway connection over here. If I have the gateway connection, I can schedule a refresh. Okay, this is running. Great. So I would say I would have to provide a source. I would have to give them the parameters. I can schedule the refresh. You can have the scheduled refresh on daily basis or a weekly basis, and you can define the time zone in which you are specifying the time. If you see these, there are 8 slots in which you can schedule a refresh. For example 10, okay, for example 11, okay, then I say 12, I say 10, 30. So these refreshes are scheduled on half an hour basis. So there is nothing known as 15 or a quarter past or quarter to. It's all in half an hour slots. So this is for you to be mindful about. Then you can have it at 2 p.m. Then you can have it at 2:30 p.m. and that's about it. I am not getting ad links. Why? Because there are only 8 times in which you can refresh your dashboard. A very important information for you to realize that since my data is on one particular machine having this server, an IP, something of that sort, in that if I want to schedule the refresh, I can do it only 8 times to refresh the data. So you have to sync these times at which you don't have a high payload on your server, probably in your dead hours after your office hours. And accordingly, you can then fetch all the data automatically with the help of the gateway, and If something goes off or does not work, you can have a failure reason sent to you and to a particular email ID which you say. You can have a Q&A session on a data set, and you can add as many questions as you want, and there is an endorsement option in which your colleagues can access it and they can make use of this data set. So this is something endorsement, it's more like an okay or good job or kind of thing, kind of a designation or authorization given to you by your friends and colleagues. Okay, so now we've understood how the refresh works. What if now the end user needs to be notified about the data change happening on the server? So for this reason, let's go into this place and assuming there is a refresh scheduled and the refresh has successfully updated the content. So what the user can do is, you can go to the dashboard. Let's go into the dashboard. This is the dashboard, and you can refresh files is one of the option. That's okay.